Marriott Bonvoy is the official hotel partner of US Soccer. Join Marriott Bonvoy today to get closer to the game with exclusive perks, unforgettable experiences, and benefits that go beyond the pitch. Spring Hill Suites, part of Marriott Bonvoy, offers complimentary hot breakfast and spacious all-suite accommodations, perfect for the whole team, with room for up to 6 guests. Make your next getaway a win. Learn more at springhillsuites.marriott.com.
And away we go, episode 1227 of the Al Galdi podcast. It is Monday, December 29th, 2025, and we now know the date and time for the final game of the Washington Commanders in their dreadful 2025 season. Week 18 of the NFL's 2025 regular season includes the 4-12 Commanders at the 11-5 Philadelphia Eagles this Sunday afternoon at 4:25. The announcement of the Week 18 schedule came late night on Sunday night. Hope you enjoyed your Commanders-free weekend of NFL football off their 30-23 loss to the Dallas Cowboys at Northwest Stadium this past Thursday afternoon, Christmas afternoon. You know, other than the Cleveland Browns' 13-6 home win over the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday afternoon, the Commanders over the weekend got no help regarding positioning for the 2026 NFL Draft, so they still have the number 7 overall pick in the draft. Technically, still could get as high as the number 2 overall pick, but that would take a lot of things breaking right for our team. Also, over the weekend, and speaking of Commanders-Eagles, the NFL on Saturday afternoon announced punishments for the brawl between the Commanders and Eagles in the Commanders' 29-18 loss to the Eagles at Northwest Stadium on December 20th. The league gave out no suspensions, but did give out a number of fines, the overwhelming majority of which were for Commanders players. So the NFL fined Commanders interior defensive lineman Javon Kinlaw $20,288. Fined Commander safety Will Harris $11,593. Fined Commander safety Quan Martin $11,572. Fined Commanders cornerback Mikey Sainristil $9,725. Fined Eagles right guard Tyler Steen $16,870. So the NFL fined 4 Commanders players, but just 1 Eagles player. Hello and welcome to this Monday installment of the Al Galdi podcast. Should/will the Commanders fire head coach Dan Quinn in the coming weeks? I, to both questions, say no, but I know that a lot of you, to each question, say yes. And so we next segment are going to discuss this and a whole lot more with the Commanders as I, for the first time, will welcome to the podcast my good friend Scott Jackson, co-host of the official Commanders Postgame Show on the Washington Commanders Radio Network. As Scott has plenty to say about this topic of should/will the Commanders fire Dan Quinn in the coming weeks. And we, with Scott, will get into just how surprising the Commanders' 2025 season truly is, what to make of quarterback Jayden Daniels from a durability standpoint, what's going to happen for the team at defensive coordinator, where general manager Adam Peters went wrong this past offseason, and more. And the more includes intel from Scott on former Washington quarterback Taylor Heinicke. Yes, a Tay-Tay update. Also on the show, I'll talk Washington Capitals, Washington Wizards, college basketball, and Virginia football. As never forget, this is the podcast that follows Washington, D.C. area sports so that you don't have to. The Caps, they over the weekend had one game. It was a win to snap a 3-game losing streak, a 4-3 overtime win at the New Jersey Devils on Saturday night, continuing the Caps' recent dominance of the Devils. Our rebuilding and tanking Wizards, they now have their first winning streak in the NBA's 2025-2026 regular season. Yes, I said the Wizards have a winning streak. They, over the weekend, had 2 games and won them both. Friday night, a 138-117 win over the Toronto Raptors at Capital One Arena. Sunday evening, a 116-112 win over the Memphis Grizzlies at Capital One Arena. Some really good stuff from the Wizards' young core of Bilal Coulibaly, Alex Sarr, Keyshawn George, Bub Carrington, and Trey Johnson. College basketball over the weekend included wins for Maryland and George Mason on Sunday evening. Maryland ripped Old Dominion 73-58 at Xfinity Center in College Park, Maryland, as the Terrapins concluded the non-conference portion of their 2025-2026 regular season. And I will properly salute Virginia football for a really good season of the Cavaliers' 13-7 win over Missouri in the Tech Slayer Gator Bowl at Everbank Stadium in Jacksonville, Florida on Saturday night. Speaking of college football, and before we get to feedback, more defections for James Madison football. The mass exodus is underway. We, over the last few days, have learned of a number of JMU players who are transferring. We on Saturday learned that some of the Duke's best players, including running back Wayne Knight and cornerback Justin Eaglin, are entering the NCAA transfer portal. This off JMU quarterback Alonzo Barnett III this past Friday afternoon announcing that he's entering the NCAA transfer portal. And so the departures of JMU players off head coach Bob Chesney leaving to become UCLA head coach are very much on. Also, some breaking Baltimore Orioles news on Sunday night. They announced that free agent starting pitcher Zach Eflin has agreed to re-sign with the team, a one-year contract with a mutual option for the 2027 season. Eflin, like a number of Orioles players, had an injury-plagued 2025 season, underwent back surgery this past August 18th. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me, the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. Lots of feedback to what I posted on X shortly after the Commanders lost to the Cowboys on Christmas afternoon, and talked about on Friday's show, episode 1226, that this game was the final game of the Commanders' 8 standalone games in the NFL's 2025 regular season, a franchise record for a regular season. The Commanders in those games went 0-8 with a point differential of minus 77. And as I concluded my post on X, quote, Sunday at 1 p.m., we miss you. We'll see a lot of you next season, end quote. From District Sports Talk, anybody, anywhere, anytime, but preferably Sundays at 1 p.m. Thank you for that, District Sports Talk. Outstanding. The mantra from Dan Quinn last season, anybody, anywhere, anytime. The mantra for next season should be anybody, anywhere, anytime, but preferably Sundays at 1 p.m. From Michelin on X, writes Michelin, pumped to get back to our normal scheduled programming next year, Sundays at 1 p.m. Thank you for that, Michelin. From Keith Foster on X, writes Keith, I, for one, will welcome back Sunday at 1. Thank you for that, Keith. From Powerboater 69 on X, writes Powerboater, the NFL might move our games to 2 a.m. Thank you for that, Powerboater. Now, I did get some feedback saying that the Commanders still will have a lot of standalone games next regular season. From AD on X, writes AD, nah, we'll get 6 standalones based on a healthy Jayden alone. Thank you for that, AD. From Alan on X, writes Alan, I don't think we'll have 8 standalone games again next season, but I wouldn't count out having 4 primetime, 1 Thursday night football game, and at least 1 425 America's Game of the Week next season with Jayden healthy. Atlanta, Cincinnati, and Detroit potential opponents, with San Francisco, Jacksonville, Houston, and Seattle on deck. Thank you for that, Alan. From Big No Limit on X, writes Big No Limit, with Jayden Daniels, I still expect 3 to 4 primetime games. LOL. Thank you for that, Big No Limit. We'll see. The NFL in this regular season has gotten humiliated in giving the Commanders a franchise record 8 standalone games. 0-8 with a point differential of minus 77. We hope that our team is a lot healthier and better next season. But, of course, there are 0 guarantees. And specific to the QB1, Jayden Daniels. Look, I hope like heck that he's back to having a healthy season next season. But what has happened this season is concerning. He this season was unable to stay healthy. He could not get through games without getting injured. Daniels in this regular season is going to end up having played in just 7 of the Commanders' 17 games and having gotten injured in 4 of the 7 games in which he played. That is a frightening rate of injury. If you are the NFL with your multiple billion-dollar media rights deals, are you just assuming that Daniels will be mostly healthy next season? Email from Rich on the 3-sack performance by Commanders interior defensive lineman Johnny Newton in the loss to the Cowboys on Christmas afternoon, and what that might mean for Commanders interior defensive lineman Daron Payne. Writes Rich, Al, this was good to see. If Newton has another strong game, does Daron Payne become expendable? It's pretty clear we need to load up with as many picks as possible for the upcoming draft. Olo is almost over. Hang in there. Thank you for the email, Rich. So I need to see a lot more from Johnny Newton before I'm going to declare that he has truly arrived as the player who he was hyped up to be when the Commanders took him in the second round of the 2024 NFL Draft out of the University of Illinois. Remember, Newton was seen as a first-round talent who fell to the second round. Newton was the number 11 overall player on Pro Football Focus's big board for the 2024 NFL Draft, and yet the Commanders took him with the number 36 overall pick in the draft. He so far in his NFL career has been a disappointment. Hopefully that's changing, but that doesn't change via just one game, especially a game in which there is some real nuance. Yes, Newton had the 3 sacks, and it was great to see that, but he also struggled against the run, and he committed a penalty, a 1st and 10 5-yard defensive holding penalty with 5:51 left in the fourth quarter. In fact, Johnny Newton's overall grade per Pro Football Focus for the game was just 47.1. That's bad. PFF grades are on a scale of 0 to 100. 60 is average. Newton had a very good game as a pass rusher, but he did not have a very good overall game. As for Daron Payne, so I see his issue as independent of Johnny Newton. Payne for this regular season has an overall grade per PFF of 60.5. That's league average, and that lines up with what we've seen, right? He got off to a really good start. He has cooled off since. Daron Payne had the great 2022 contract season. The Commanders in March 2023 signed him to a big money contract extension, but he over 3 seasons since has been mid. Hasn't been terrible. And he does continue to be durable, although he, for the loss to the Cowboys on Christmas afternoon, was inactive due to a back issue. But Payne, over 3 seasons since signing the big money contract extension, has been mid. Daron Payne, per overthecap.com, is tied for number 10 among all interior defensive linemen in the NFL in average annual value, AAV $22.5 million. See, over the last 3 seasons, 2023 through 2025, has not performed at that level. Good for him for getting his money, but he has not performed at the level at which he is being paid. He, for the 2026 season, is set to have a salary cap hit of $28.01 million per overthecap.com. And so my bet is that the Commanders this coming off season release Payne, as he, like interior defensive lineman Jonathan Allen last offseason, is a big-time salary cap cut candidate this coming off season. The question with Daron Payne shouldn't be, is Johnny Newton good enough to be a starting interior defensive lineman? The question with Daron Payne should be, is he worth what the team is paying him? And the answer is no. And so the team should seek to do better with the money that the team is paying him. Release him and put that money to better use. Hey, skincare. It is not just for women. Plenty of alpha males are open about their skincare. Guys like Tony Gonzalez and The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. And the best product for skincare is OneSkin. OneSkin formulas are powered by the OS peptide, a patented peptide built on longevity science proven to target aging at the cellular level. OneSkin supports the cellular repair that keeps your skin looking and feeling better as you get older. This is not about adding extra steps to your routine. No, this is about swapping in smarter steps. Born from over 10 years of longevity research, OneSkin's OS1 peptide is proven to target the cells that cause the visible signs of aging, helping you unlock your healthiest skin now and as you age. And for a limited time, OneSkin is making it even easier to stay consistent with up to 30% off your first 3 subscription orders when you use the promo code GALDY at oneskin.co/GALDY. That's oneskin.co/GALDY and use the promo code GALDY. oneskin.co/GALDY, up to 30% off with the promo code GALDY. And after you purchase, you'll be asked where you heard about OneSkin. Please support our show and say that Al Galdi sent you.
Marriott Bonvoy is the official hotel partner of US Soccer. Join Marriott Bonvoy today to get closer to the game with exclusive perks, unforgettable experiences, and benefits that go beyond the pitch. Spring Hill Suites, part of Marriott Bonvoy, offers complimentary hot breakfast and spacious all-suite accommodations, perfect for the whole team, with room for up to 6 guests. Make your next getaway a win. Learn more at springhillsuites.marriott.com.
Dan Quinn last season, his first season as Washington Commanders head coach, joined Joe Gibbs, George Allen, and Ray Flaherty as the only head coaches in franchise history to win multiple playoff games, not just in season number one or in one season, but overall. Dan Quinn last season, again, his first season as Commanders head coach, joined Joe Gibbs and George Allen as the only head coaches in franchise history to win multiple games in a single postseason. Dan Quinn last season became the first head coach in franchise history to win 2 playoff games in his first season with the franchise. Dan Quinn last season led Washington to its first regular season with at least 11 wins since the 1991 regular season, 12-5. Dan Quinn last season, without question, had the greatest first season by a head coach in franchise history. But that was last season. This season has been a much different story. The Commanders in the NFL's 2025 regular season are 4-12 with a point differential of -102. Yes, the team has been ravaged by injury, but also, yes, the season has been a bad look for Dan Quinn in a variety of ways. The talk is out there. I have heard the talk. I have seen the talk. Most of you have heard the talk and seen the talk. The talk of should/will the Commanders fire Dan Quinn in the coming weeks. Personally, I do not think that the team should/will fire Quinn in the coming weeks. I do believe that the number one reason for the team's disappointing season by far is injury. But this talk is out there, and so I figured we'd talk about the talk, and we're going to do that now with a longtime friend. I've known him since 2000 when we started working together at Sports Talk 980 WTEM. He is Scott Jackson, co-host of the official Commanders Postgame Show on the Washington Commanders Radio Network, co-host of the Believe in Commanders podcast, and host of the Scott Jackson Show, weekday afternoons 3 to 7 on ESPN Radio 94.1 in the Virginia Beach area. You can follow Scott on X at Jackson Sports. Scott, great to talk to you. How are you?
Very good, Al. And you mentioned 2000, and when I started working with you at 980, of course, I was doing Wizards games back in the day, and that 1963 Leonard Hamilton team. And, you know, every once in a while, that experience comes into real good use when I'm doing one of these football seasons. I feel like this year it really did.
I totally hear you on that. Unbelievable what has happened with our team this season. I did, though, want to ask you this. So Scott went to Old Dominion. His radio station is the flagship for ODU football. And I saw that you on X on December 22nd wrote regarding ODU legend and Washington legend Taylor Heinicke, quote, "He doesn't want to play anymore," end quote. His name did come up with the Commanders looking for a quarterback last week, but I feel like this is big news that has not gotten enough attention. Taylor Heinicke has retired. Is that correct?
Well, I don't know if he's retired. I don't think he's officially retired, but what he's told me at a tailgate, and I'd heard this prior after he was released in preseason, that he really did not want to play football anymore. I don't know what that means, but I just kind of I said to him, "Are you ever play again?" He goes, "Hopefully not." And I go, "Really?" He goes, "Nah." He goes, "You know, he's getting his degree down here. He's getting married in the summer. Seemed to be having a good life, good time. I would imagine, you know, probably would have to be a pretty perfect situation for him to want to come back at this point, because it didn't sound like I said, he didn't sound like he was missing it and really had no plans of playing again. But I don't know when and if he's going to officially retire, you know what I mean? Or if he just kind of keeps that door ajar for a bit in case, you know, who knows, with somebody like like a few years ago when the 49ers talked about, hey, you know, if we would have made it through that championship game, we would have signed Phillip Rivers to start the Super Bowl for us. You know what I mean? Like, what if like the Chargers, for example, who he was just involved with most recently, you know, had a quarterback go down late in the season. They just need him for a game or two, you know, maybe then they would change his mind. But yeah, I mean, that was his intention. And I mean, I didn't think it was a big deal because it's kind of been an open secret, if you will. I don't even know if it's a secret around here that people around ODU football have been, you know, discussing for a while. So it didn't really surprise me. And I never thought it was an option here. I mean, he never played for Cliff Kingsbury. It's not a system fit at all. You know, he's not a zone read, you know, RPO guy, never was. So I never really thought that made a lot of sense for him. But anyway, yeah, you know, but yeah, I mean, he seems like a guy who's really happy not worrying about playing football anymore.
Well, you used the phrase perfect situation. I do not think that this Commanders team this season qualifies as the perfect situation for Taylor Heinicke or anyone else. How surprised are you by how poorly this Commanders season has gone?
Well, I try to pride myself on being the guy that cannot be nothing surprises me in sports, especially when it comes to the teams I cover and care about the most. Because we've seen everything, right? And we have never seen the level of success here. I'll be honest, I wasn't really comfortable with the whole feeling of, we were this close last year, because I really felt like if you stood back and, people would get really touchy when you bring it up last year because they were in the middle of it and they loved it. But, there was a lot of good stuff about last year that was also set up by a bad schedule, an easier schedule, I should say. A lot of breaks. I mean, like the breaks you see the Bears getting this year, these were the Commanders' breaks a year ago, right? Like these kind of wins, yet they haven't had a Hail Mary. Just a lot of things just falling into place. And I didn't feel like that team was that close leaving that game against the Eagles, even though they self-imploded in some ways, but the Eagles created those opportunities. I still feel like there was a large gap there. So, yeah, I mean, I think my low bar starting the season was 7 wins. So yeah, I mean, from that standpoint, it is the injury part of it's crazy, and I get it. They came in as an old team, but it's been some of the younger guys that have been hurt too, guys that were still in what you consider in their prime that have not been on the field. But I think it has just gone to show you how how thin the margins are in the NFL. How, from one year to the next, and really from week to week for that matter.
When you think about this Commander season in the team's bigger picture, what's your sense that this season is a blip and that the team next season will be back to being good again? Or that last season was the blip and this season is the team being what it truly is?
Well, I mean, really, we've got, the last 25 years, 3 decades. Really, like, let's take it this way. Since the salary cap era, right? Since the salary cap era, when they were so ill-prepared for that back in the day, when they had it as gut this team, players like Art Monk and some of the all-time greats were given unceremonious exits here. You go back to that era. I mean, this has not been a consistently good franchise ever. I mean, and that's 3 owners. That's Cook, John and Jack together. You can combine them however you want to look at it. That's Snyder, who was horrific, and now Josh Harris. Technically 3 years, 1 winning season. So they have not figured out the formula for sustained success over 3 different eras. Now, it's very early, and I get it. And they inherited a bad roster, all these type of things. I need to see the offseason. I'm not going to sign off and say, they'll be fine. I'm not comfortable with the fact that Jayden Daniels is going to go, from November to, probably September, whatever that first weekend of the season is, to playing real meaningful football with consequences, meaning a game that somebody can tackle and hurt him in. So that doesn't make me feel great. I mean, they showed us this year they didn't get prepared properly. I mean, for whatever reason it was, you can blame Terry's holdout and all that kind of nonsense if you want. And that's fine. It certainly was a factor, but they were not good at the start of the season. I mean, the offense was not good in week 1 against a terrible Giants team. Wasn't good against Green Bay. The following week they put up some numbers against the Raiders, which everybody did this year. Struggled in Atlanta. I mean, you just go down the list. There was never sustained success consistently with the offense, throughout the season, with or without Jayden. And I think that was concerning to me, and it was a little surprising. I never felt that magic outside of maybe a few plays and a few drives in that Chargers game.
The Commanders' QB1, Jayden Daniels, where are you on the issue of his durability?
I do think he needs to play smarter, learn how to, you think about the hits that he took this year, a lot of which were preventable, right? There was no reason for him to be running all over the place like he was late in that Green Bay game with, the game out of reach, essentially. And again, had opportunities to slide, took hits instead. The Seattle game, obviously, they told him not to run. He ran or whatever it was there. There was not supposed to be a design run. He's out there, in no man's land, and it looks like a basic thing. The one in Dallas held the ball too long. I mean, he was playing. I mean, give him credit, I guess, trying to make a play, but he's holding the ball forever in the pocket, which was, something that was pretty normal. And I think I think there is a reason to be a little worried about that. I didn't see him beating a lot of people last year to the edges, consistently, right? He had moments. There's plays. You can find me a 2-minute reel of it and says, you idiot, see, here are the plays. But then if you really go back and watch snap for snap for snap, I don't feel like he was as fast and as explosive he was the previous years, or were defenses just playing him different, right? Or were they just, spying on him and ready for it, or where they knew where all the trap doors were, where he was going to come out, whatever it was. That extra step, that extra, little wiggle he had the previous year wasn't there. So, yeah, I mean, I'd like to think he's smart enough. He played 20 games the previous year, did have the rib injury, which was kind of a fluky thing, played a lot of SEC football without missing big time. I like to think, this is the outlier season for that. But I do think there has to be a change in not only the way he plays, in a sense, being a little bit more careful and knowing what down and distance is it worth the risk reward. And then I think they also have to figure out a way to create an offense where he doesn't feel like he has to make those type of, Superman-ish plays all the time.
All right, Dan Quinn, to those saying he should be fired, you say what?
I think that would be a step back into, the past of what we're trying to get away from, which is the spazzy owner that has to do something for the optics of doing something. Because, again, the easy part is firing people. As we've seen, they're really good at firing people over the decades here. Replacing them has been a huge issue. And getting the right structure in place has been a huge issue. Who's coming in the door, right? Are you firing him for, Mike Tomlin or Kyle Shanahan or Sean McVay? Okay. Sure. Okay. We could talk about that. I mean, but are you firing him for some coordinator? You have no idea what what they look like as a head coach. I don't know, that would have to be that would mean there's a huge gap. And by the way, if that is, in the works and behind the scenes, or if there's any thought process that, it's amazing. We haven't heard a peep about it all year, that there's some type of internal strife. Would be incredible. But no, I mean, look, he had a bad year. Better have a better year next year. I think they need to make some staff changes. I think he needs to embrace the idea, even though I know he says it's very stressful on him. But the defense, as bad as the injuries were at the end of the year, actually played better later with him running the show for whatever reason, right? They still had some big plays given up. They gave one up on Christmas Day. But I just think from that standpoint, there needs to be some changes, in staff internally. There's going to be anyway for attrition. And I think the approach in the offseason has to be much different. I put this more on the lack of talent than I do on the coaches this year, frankly.
Yeah, I agree with you, though I do keep coming back to the fact that Dan Quinn, during this time of the Commanders being ripped apart by injury, has failed to coach up the team to where it pulls off at least one big unexpected win. Upsets in the NFL happen all of the time. Surprising results in the NFL happen all of the time. A good head coach finds ways to pull off unexpected wins. Quinn, this season, has not pulled off a single truly unexpected win. And of course, so many of the losses have been blowout losses.
Yeah, and again, I just look at the guys that he's rolling out there. Actually, I would say the Broncos game was probably your moment for that, right? Like, that was the unexpected win. I mean, you get the Chargers game, you could say that too, but the Chargers also in that stretch had lost to the Giants and some other teams they probably shouldn't have lost to. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, I guess, I mean, if that's what we're going to give him a participation trophy for, or whatever, okay, we had an unexpected win, whatever that means. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think your moment for that was the Broncos game, and they couldn't pull it off. And they played about as well as you could possibly play coming out of a bye, and both teams were coming out of the bye at that time. That would have been the one. But again, fine, fire him. Who we bringing in? Who you getting? I mean, let's be real. I mean, last time around, they had a guy who preferred to stay as a coordinator for a year, took the Bears job a year later, doing pretty well. McDonald didn't really seem to ever be very serious about this job. He went and took Seattle, which was a better situation. And I don't know, frankly, 3 years later, if the Commanders job is more appealing or not than it was at that time, looking back, knowing what you had coming into the draft and, starting from scratch with Jayden Daniels. Now you've had a year of Jayden Daniels being the rookie of the year, or offensive rookie of the year, to a year he was injured. So I guess it would depend on, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, I suppose. But, whoever you think the top candidates are, how would they look at this job compared to some of the other options that will be out there would be interesting.
Much more with Scott Jackson in moments. The NACE Law Group, Accident and Injury Lawyers. It has been a Washington, D.C. institution for decades. If you feel that you've been wronged, if you think that you've been wronged but aren't sure, contact the NACE Law Group, Accident and Injury Lawyers, and schedule a no-obligation appointment. Call 202-902-7611 or visit WashingtonDCInjuryLawyers.com until the NACE Law Group that Al Galdi sent you. Founded in 1979, the Nace Law Group offers fierce advocacy on behalf of medical malpractice, birth injury, and personal injury victims. Led by the great Chris Nace, the Nace Law Group is focused on providing exceptional care and counsel for those who need such things the most. The Nace Law Group fights for what it believes in: you, your family, and your future. You with the Nace Law Group have an experienced advocate on your side. The Nace Law Group has secured millions of dollars in verdict and settlement amounts for clients to better enable them to care for themselves and their families. Call 202-902-7611 or visit Washington, D.C. injurylawyers.com and tell the Nace Law Group that Al Galdi sent you. That's 202-902-7611 or Washington, D.C. injurylawyers.com. And make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. The Nace Law Group, accident and injury lawyers. We're talking Commanders with Scott Jackson, co-host of the official Commanders Postgame Show on the Washington Commanders radio network. We conceivably could, if not likely will, have resolution for the Commanders at defensive coordinator over just the next few weeks. Will Dan Quinn remain as the head coach, who also serves as defensive coordinator? Will the team make a big splash hire at defensive coordinator? What do you expect to happen?
Well, I think you got to see something different, right? And somebody with maybe experience. Usually you get somebody that is along the philosophical lines of your head coach if he's a defensive coach. I do find it interesting that every defensive coach that becomes a head coach, not every one of them, because Bill Belichick certainly didn't, but many of them give up the role of calling the defense or being the defensive coordinator, whereas offensive coordinators rarely ever do that. I mean, really the most recent guy I can think of that gave away the play calling duties and his team got better were the Eagles. I mean, when Sirianni did it, halfway through his first year, and obviously they got better from there with Steichen, and then moving forward, and he still hasn't taken those duties back. But, going back to this year, I mean, I would have liked to see Quinn with the healthier version of this defense to see what he could have gotten out of him, because I do think there were some small steps that were taken in the right direction, despite not having a lot of really quality players available to them. But, again, to me, I'm a little bit more concerned about what's the free agent approach going to be, draft, trades, those type of things, than I am about the actual coordinator, because I think what makes a coordinator's job attractive and easier is better players, and they've got to get better players on all three levels if they're going to expect any different results.
So with Adam Peters, given the benefit now of hindsight, where did he go wrong this past offseason?
It's cool that he nailed it year one with these one-year deals. Then a lot of those guys who came up for contracts, they, for whatever reason, decided they were either expendable or only worth it at their price. I don't know. And again, this has always been wondered, because Adam Peters doesn't talk, right? Like he literally, he isn't a back channel guy. He's not going to, confirm reports for a lot of these beat reporters and stuff. He's not one of these guys that has like an Adam Schefter at his disposal or somebody. What have you. I mean, he's done a good job of keeping it in-house, whatever it is he thinks. Is Adam Peters more John Lynch, 49er Adam Peters? Is he more what you saw in Denver with that Elway era Broncos, group front office? Or is he the guy who grew up in the New England system? It seems like to me there's a lot of New England system stuff going on there. Patriot way, which means our price, or the highway. And that's great when you're, the Patriots and Bill Belichick, and you've got like a resume, of success, and you can do that. I just don't know, like, for example, what would have been the price difference of keeping Olamide Zaccheaus this year, right, over Noah Brown? Or, there's like these little ones like Dante Fowler. How much would that have really hurt you to keep him? And then, going out and getting Javon Kinlaw, was it really worth it? They were still horrible against the run. I mean, and he played all year. And they were just terrible against the run. You had the same two linebackers behind him you had the previous year. I don't know. I mean, were they just a little too cute or too cheap or too frugal, whatever you want to call it, not aggressive enough? I mean, New England was ultra aggressive in free agency and worked out pretty well for them so far. And I get it. They're playing, the last place, schedule and all that kind of thing, or second to last place schedule in their case, being with the division with the Jets. But whatever it was, it got better results. So I don't, that's to me like the thing. Did he bank too much on, Lattimore, the guy he traded for, obviously, gave a lot of draft capital up for, last year? Sure. I mean, they thought like a healthy Marshawn Lattimore was going to, be a huge benefit to the defense, and it really wasn't. And I don't know. I still don't understand how they thought they were going to get the quarterback to the ground, though. I really, that's the one I can't figure out. I mean, what did they think that they brought in? Dedrick Wise, good, solid player, but he's not like a double-digit sack guy. Armstrong, I know they're telling you how good he was playing on the stretch, and that was true. But again, didn't get to finish the season this year. It still wasn't enough invested in that area, and it still is not a very fast, dynamic defense. And that's why I think it's tough to sit here and go, this coordinator, that coordinator could fix everything when you don't have the dogs. And I think you've seen some of that kind of come to the surface on the feelings of Dan Quinn. I mean, Greg Olson kind of said it a few weeks ago on the broadcast with the Eagles, saying, talking about DQ because, hey, you mentioned that he didn't have this or that, and it's not something he's done publicly, but clearly it's something he did in these production meetings. Now, whether or not that was supposed to be used on the broadcast, I don't know, but it did leak out there.
2 NFL drafts for Adam Peters as Commanders GM, with the caveats of, hey, it takes several years before you can truly judge a draft class, and hey, how we view draft classes can change on a week-to-week basis. What's your assessment of how Peters as Commanders GM has done in terms of the NFL draft?
Well, incomplete right now. I mean, certainly the first draft, is still based on what the quarterback. If nobody else is good out of the first draft, but Jayden Daniels gets back to who he was last year, then it's a great draft, because really that's what that draft boils down to. But yes, you need to have a lot more than just that. I mean, Johnny Newton finally showed you something. I feel like we go back and forth. Is Mike Sainristil still being played in the right place or not, right? Do we still understand? Is he an outsider? Is he an inside guy? Feels like more guys I talk to that played football think he should be on the outside than the guys that are coaching him think he should be on the inside. It's kind of crazy. Newton, again, that was a great game. But where you been, bro? I mean, I need that a lot more than just 1 week. And some of those sacks, by the way, and pressures were, aided by, Dak holding the ball because there wasn't guys getting open. Brandon Coleman had an up and down season. McGee showed a little bit at the end. Obviously, Luke was actually coming along, playing well before the injury. Who am I missing? Oh, Sinnott. Finally this past week, we're like, wow, Ben Sinnott did something, for the first time, they finally threw him the ball. I think he's got hands. I just, don't know if he gets to do it on the regular. I don't think it's that he's really one of the high options in the progression. So I don't really blame him for that. He's not like being treated like Zach Ertz or given that same option. Does seem like he's evolving as a blocker, which is an important part of the position, but maybe not, sexy or whatever. But yeah, this year's draft, I thought overall, you got to like Connerly, even though he had some rough weekends, but you'd expect that. I mean, that's what happened. Obviously, Krosky Merritt has been a home run. Lane's a great return man. We'll find out as time goes on what he is as a receiver at the NFL level, but I think he's got some potential there. So I would just say, it's incomplete. It's not, if he found the solution at quarterback for the next decade plus, he nailed it, right? In that first draft. And this year's draft, if you got yourself a left tackle or what you want to call your right tackle for years to come too, then that's super as well. But, right until we know that for sure, certain, who knows? I mean, I think Trey Amos was playing well too, I should mention, obviously before his injury, but it was a small draft class, and this year's isn't going to be much bigger unless they add some capital, and who was the other pick I'm forgetting? Oh, Madrano, right? He barely saw the field. It was mostly special teams guy. So, we'll figure that out as we go along in time. But yeah, I mean, it's not exactly, two draft classes right now that you can say for certain are home runs by any means.
Final question. Best guess, does Commanders offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury get a head coaching job this coming off season?
You never say never, but I just don't see this year. Like, how do you sell that to anybody, right? Like, I mean, how do you sell that to your fan base? Hey, we're hiring Cliff Kingsbury, the Commanders coordinator, and 4 or 5 wins or whatever the win total will end up being. I just don't know if that's exciting to other fan bases, right now. It would really, I guess, depend on the fit too with the quarterback, because I don't think he's a one size fits all quarterback, right? I mean, I think he needs a quarterback that can play in more of the spread system, and obviously, as we've seen, with his time with Kyler Murray and with Jayden at the NFL level. So I think a lot of it depends on that. I mean, unless there's a college gig out there that we're not thinking about right now, and those seem to open on the hour. So I guess, stay tuned. But NFL wise, yeah, I don't see him as an obvious fit for any of these teams we suspect will be looking for a head coach this year.
Yeah, I thought, he would have made a lot of sense, like, if you're LSU or something like that,
Yeah.
one of these big openings, but most of those have gotten gobbled up, it seems. So I don't know what's left for him at this point.
Yeah, I don't either. And now that Michigan hasn't taken from anybody, and they're going the route they're going, Kyle Whittingham. Yeah, I don't see it. Yeah, I think he's here, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. And my thing with him is just like sometimes he just cannot fight the instinct of being cute instead of just being a bully. You know what I mean? Like, there were too many instances this year where they got inside the deep, inside the 5 in the last 3 weeks where just be persistent at trying to run it in there a little bit, and they didn't. And it's just frustrating, especially the Minnesota game where they didn't give Rodriguez at least 2 to 3 cracks at it instead of just the one, and just decided to throw it every down. With Jayden, by the way, coming back from an injury that week, it just didn't seem to make a lot of sense. And then obviously fell into that similar trap here in this first game a few weeks ago too, against Philly, and then again against Dallas, settling for field goals when you get down to the red zone.
Scott Jackson, co-host of the official Commanders Postgame Show on the Washington Commanders Radio Network. Scott, thanks. Happy holidays. All the best.
Happy holidays, Al. Happy New Year. Thank you.
All right, Nova Fireplace and Stove. It is Northern Virginia's go-to expert for fireplaces. Transform the look and feel of your home and increase its value by going to Nova Fireplace and Stove in Woodbridge, Virginia, or by visiting novafireplaceandstove.com. And make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you for $25 off any service. Come in and see Nova Fireplace and Stove's stunning displays, including custom fireplace glass doors and stone refacing options that can completely transform the look of your fireplace. From sleek and modern to rustic and cozy, Nova Fireplace and Stove has something for every style. And here's what else Nova Fireplace and Stove offers: gas fireplace service and repair, chimney cleaning and brickwork repair, generator installation, panel replacements, and water heater repairs, smoke detectors, security lights, and more. Nova Fireplace and Stove is a family-owned, fully licensed and insured company with over-the-top credentials, gas and electrical master's licenses, a Class A contractor's license, and a long list of 5-star reviews to back all of this up. Every job includes a free in-home estimate, and for listeners of the Al Galdi podcast, Nova Fireplace and Stove is offering $25 off any service. Just mention this ad. Nova Fireplace and Stove only works in Northern Virginia, and this knows the homes, the codes, and the people. Your satisfaction is 100% guaranteed. That's Nova Fireplace and Stove in Woodbridge, Virginia, or novafireplaceandstove.com. And make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you for $25 off any service. Nova Fireplace and Stove, where comfort meets craftsmanship, and your fireplace becomes the heart of your home. So, Washington Commanders managing partner Josh Harris is a co-managing partner of the New Jersey Devils, but the Devils, in many ways, are owned by the Washington Capitals.
Span ahead, weak side down, going on across. Strome feeding it back to the D. Capitals executing a change before they attack. Now they will. Chychrun coming, has it left side, cuts in, shoots, and a save made, rebound, they score! Jacob Chychrun's done it again! It's in overtime! Game-winning goal! Good morning! Good afternoon! And good night, New Jersey! The Capitals kicking off this 2-game road trip with an overtime win here at Prudential Center. Final score, Washington 4 and New Jersey 3.
John Walton on the Washington Capitals radio network. One game for the Caps over the weekend, a 4-3 overtime win at the Devils on Saturday night. The Caps in the NHL's 2025-2026 regular season improved to 20-13-5. The Caps now are 17-4-4 over their last 25 regular season games against the Devils. 17-4-4. We call that being another team's daddy. As the great Arnold Schwarzenegger said in the movie Kindergarten Cop, who is your daddy and what does he do?
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
Yeah, man. Who is your daddy, and what does he do? The Caps are the Devils' daddy. The Caps, with this win at the Devils, snapped a 3-game losing streak. One for just the third time in 10 games, though the Caps, during that stretch, went 3-4-3. So 3 of the losses were overtime/shootout losses. So the Caps, in this win at the Devils, overcame a 3-2 third-period deficit. Caps defenseman Jakob Chychrun, he scored the game-winning even-strength goal, 4:06 into overtime, giving him 15 goals in this regular season, and he had a team-high tying 5 shots on goal. I tell you, Chychrun continues to be so good. He, for this regular season, has 15 goals and 14 assists. Now is on pace to have 31 goals and 31 assists. Just tremendous offensive production from a defenseman. The Caps, for this regular season, as of the end of the game, had the most goals by defensemen, 30. Also scoring a goal on Saturday night.
They announce the goals in quick succession here as the puck low for Ovechkin. He scores! The puck low from the high slot, and Ovechkin near the left post waits out Allen and bangs it home, and we're tied. There is the response. Ovechkin with a goal to make it 3-3 with 10:43 to play.
Caps top-line right wing Alex Ovechkin, he snapped a 9-game goalless drought. He scored a game-tying even-strength goal, 9:17 into the third period, giving him 15 goals in this regular season and giving him 912 career NHL regular season goals, the most in NHL history. He also had a primary assist and registered a team-high 7 total shot attempts, including 3 shots on goal. And he was number 4 on the Caps in 5-on-5 shot attempt percentage for the game per natural stat trick at 58.33. The Caps with Ovechkin on the ice in 5-on-5 situations in the game had 14 shot attempts versus allowing 10 shot attempts. So a very nice game for the Great Eight, and another good game for Caps second-line left wing Alexi Protas. He scored an even-strength goal, 19:59 into the first period for his 14th goal in this regular season. He also had 2 assists and a team-high tying 5 shots on goal, and he was number 1 on the Caps in 5-on-5 shot attempt percentage for the game per natural stat trick at 67.57. The Caps with Protas on the ice in 5-on-5 situations in the game had 25 shot attempts versus allowing just 12 shot attempts. Alexi Protas over the Caps' last 5 games has 4 goals and 3 assists. During Caps head coach Spencer Carberry's post-game session with reporters late night on Saturday night, had this exchange between the Caps radio play-by-play announcer John Walton and Carberry.
Beyond the stats, and certainly what he was able to do was terrific. But was this one of Alexei Protas' best games of the year? Because it seemed like he had a really strong night tonight.
Couldn't agree more. I thought he was fantastic. I thought he noticeable in all 3 zones. Had even like his breakout wall play was just so strong. Good decisions with the puck. I'm moving him around different lines. He's playing with different centermen. Has 3 points tonight. Terrific night for him.
Yeah, Alexi Protas is doing quite well right now. The Caps starting goaltender for this 4-3 overtime win at the Devils on Saturday night was Logan Thompson. He stopped 35 of the 38 shots on goal that he faced. The Caps did lose the puck possession battle. They had 33 shots on goal to the Devils' 38, and per natural stat trick had just 47 5-on-5 shot attempts to the Devils' 64, although included in that was the Caps having 13 5-on-5 high-danger shot attempts to the Devils' 11. The Caps did have a bad game on special teams, just 1 for 2 on the penalty kill and 0 for 1 on the power play. The Caps got back 2 key players. Winger Tom Wilson returned from a 1-game absence caused by illness, and defenseman Rasmus Sandin returned from a 1-game absence caused by an upper body injury. The Caps' healthy scratches for this game were winger Sonny Milano and defenseman Declan Chisholm and Dylan McElrath. Here was Spencer Carberry during his post-game session with reporters late night on Saturday night on the nature of this 4-3 overtime win at the Devils.
Yeah, I thought that was just a display of the Caps' resiliency of what our group has stood for over the last few years. It was not pretty. It was downright ugly at times in that game where they had us on our heels, but we kept fighting. We grabbed some momentum for good portions of that game, so we punched back, grabbed the lead, and then obviously it slips in the third period. But then I thought after that, we go down. I thought we carried the next, whatever it was, 10 minutes of play, and even had opportunities to win that game in regulation for those last, whatever it was, 7-8 minutes, even after we got the equalizer. So really difficult circumstances, traveling and playing this game. This is not an easy game to play on, especially on the road, and so proud of the guys for digging in. And overtime too, we've struggled in overtime. We haven't found a way to win one of these games. So it was nice for Chicky steps up, makes a huge play. Forrest goes end to end. Just another display of his unique ability to skate, even though he's at the end of a shift. I mean, he's been out there for a minute plus and still finds a way to use his explosiveness, power, and speed to get to the net. It's a huge play for our group.
All right, next up for the Caps at the Florida Panthers, Monday night at 7. Hey, if you happen to be listening to this podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you can write a review of the podcast saying that you like it. The review can be just a sentence or two, but the reviews help out the podcast a lot. Thank you for doing them. The Washington Wizards, they, for the first time in the NBA's 2025-2026 regular season, have a winning streak. Yes, an actual real-life winning streak for our Wizards. So 2 games for our rebuilding and tanking Wizards over the weekend. Friday night, a 138-117 win over the Toronto Raptors at Capital One Arena in a game in which the Wizards led for all of the second half. They entered the fourth quarter with a 2-point lead at 102-100, but they won the fourth quarter 36-17. Sunday evening, a 116-112 win over the Memphis Grizzlies at Capital One Arena in a game in which the Wizards overcame a 10-point third quarter deficit. The Wizards now are 7-23, including 4-3 over their last 7 games. And yeah, the Wizards, for the first time in this regular season, have a winning streak. And the best part, by far, of these 2 wins for the Wizards over the weekend was that these wins were fueled by the Wizards' young core. Bilal Coulibaly, Alex Sarr, Keyshawn George, Bub Carrington, and Trey Johnson. The win over the Raptors on Friday night, that Wizards young core, Coulibaly, Sarr, George, Carrington, and Johnson, combined for 86 of the Wizards' 138 points and went a combined 9 for 20 on threes and 24 for 32 on twos. The win over the Grizzlies on Sunday evening, no Keyshawn George. He did not play due to left hip flexor soreness, but 4 key young players for the Wizards, Coulibaly, Sarr, Carrington, and Johnson, combined for 60 of the Wizards' 116 points. So good to see the Wizards' young core of Bilal Coulibaly, Alex Sarr, Keyshawn George, Bub Carrington, and Trey Johnson doing well. Really good weekend for Bilal Coulibaly. The win over the Raptors on Friday night. Coulibaly, in just 25 minutes, 58 seconds as a starter, had 21 points, 8 rebounds, 3 steals, and 1 assist versus 2 turnovers. He went just 1 for 4 on threes, but also 7 for 10 on twos and 4 for 5 on free throws. The win over the Grizzlies on Sunday evening, Coulibaly in 28-44 as a starter, had 14 points, 8 rebounds, including 3 offensive boards, 3 steals, 2 blocks, and 2 assists versus 1 turnover. Did go just 6 for 15 from the field, 0 for 3 on threes, and just 6 for 12 on twos. He went 2 for 2 on free throws. Also big in that win over the Raptors on Friday night were Keyshawn George and Bub Carrington. George, in just 28-28 as a starter, had 23 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists versus 3 turnovers, and a plus-minus rating of plus 16. He went 3 for 5 on threes, 6 for 8 on twos, and 2 for 3 on free throws. Carrington, in just 22-01 off the bench, had 15 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists versus no turnovers, and a game-best plus-minus rating of plus 17. He went 4 for 7 on threes, 1 for 1 on twos, and 1 for 2 on free throws. And how about Alex Sarr in the win over the Grizzlies on Sunday evening? Sarr, in just 26-14 as a starter, had 20 points, 9 rebounds, including 3 offensive boards, 6 blocks, and 2 steals. He went just 1 for 6 on threes, but also 8 for 14 on twos and 1 for 1 on free throws. So lots of good stuff from the Wizards in these wins. The win over the Raptors on Friday night, the Wizards went 15 for 33 on threes, held the Raptors to just 12 for 36 on threes. The Wizards outscored the Raptors in the paint 62-44. The Wizards in the paint went 31 for 41, held the Raptors to just 22 for 42, and the Wizards out-rebounded the Raptors 46-33. The win over the Grizzlies on Sunday evening, the Wizards' defense was very good. They held the Grizzlies to just 9 for 32 on threes and just 34 for 71 on twos, and totaled 9 steals and generating 16 Grizzlies turnovers. So the Wizards won despite going just 8 for 33 on threes and committing 19 turnovers. So the Wizards went 34 for 66 on twos and 24 for 25 on free throws. and the Wizards out-rebounded the Grizzlies 54-43. Key in that regard, Justin Champagnie, 25-22 off the bench, 12 rebounds, including 4 offensive boards. He also had 10 points and no assists versus 2 turnovers. He went 2 for 4 on threes, just 1 for 4 on twos, and 2 for 2 on free throws. And the Wizards won these 2 games over the weekend despite being without Corey Kispert and Cam Whitmore. Kispert did not play in either game due to a left hamstring strain. Whitmore now has not been available for 5 consecutive games. This was off him having been a DNP-CD in each of the Wizards' previous 4 games. The Wizards this past Tuesday afternoon, December 23rd, announced that Whitmore had been diagnosed with upper extremity deep vein thrombosis and would, quote, be sidelined indefinitely, end quote. Here was Wizards head coach Brian Keefe during his postgame press conference on Sunday night.
I think the thing that was great tonight is, and we talked about this pre-game, is we obviously shot the ball really well last game. We didn't shoot the ball great tonight, but we stayed with it, and we weathered some storms and some runs that they made, obviously, and groups found their ways to be resilient and fight through that and get us back in the game. But our defense carried. I think we had 33 what we would call disruptions, like deflections, steals, blocks. We were very active tonight. And that carried us throughout the whole game when teams are going to go on runs. And we didn't hit our shots, and we got a little sticky at times with the ball, and that caused some turnovers. But our defense stayed consistent, and that ran the day for us. So that was great. Got to win in some ways in different ways.
All right, next up for our surging Wizards, home to the Phoenix Suns, Monday night at 7. Let's talk college basketball. Maryland has played its final non-conference game of the 2025-2026 regular season, and that game went quite well. The Terrapins improved to 7-6 overall with a 73-58 win over Old Dominion at Xfinity Center in College Park, Maryland on Sunday evening. A 15-point win for the Terps, despite them being without their best player, 6'9" Texas A&M transfer Pharrell Payne. He, for a second consecutive game, did not play due to a right knee injury. Maryland, in this win over ODU, never trailed. The Terps began the game on a 17-0 run. The Terps won the first half 45-18. Did lose the second half 40-28. Maryland in the first half went 10 for 19 on threes, but in the second half went just 1 for 10 on threes. So also Maryland won despite going just 13 for 31 on twos. But Maryland's defense was good. The Terps held ODU to just 58 points, just 4 for 18 on threes, and just 17 for 39 on twos. 59 of Maryland's 73 points came from 4 players: Darius Adams, Isaiah Watts, Solomon Washington, and Andre Mills. Maryland head coach Buzz Williams gave 6'3" Washington State transfer Isaiah Watts his first start of this regular season, and Watts came through. He, in 28 minutes as a starter, had 17 points, and now all 17 of the points came in the first half. He also finished with 2 blocks and 2 rebounds. He went 4 for 8 on threes, 2 for 2 on twos, and 1 for 1 on free throws. Maryland's leading scorer was 6'5" freshman Darius Adams, a 5-star prospect for 24/7 Sports and Rivals. He, in 29 minutes as a starter, had 18 points, 2 assists versus 1 turnover and 2 rebounds. He went 3 for 6 on threes, just 3 for 10 on twos, and 3 for 4 on free throws. 6'7" Texas A&M transfer Solomon Washington. He, in 32 minutes as a starter, had 13 points, 13 rebounds, including 3 offensive boards, and no assists versus 2 turnovers. He went 0 for 1 on threes, 4 for 7 on twos, and 5 for 6 on free throws. And 6'4" Texas A&M transfer Andre Mills. He, in 26 minutes as a starter, had 11 points, 5 assists versus 1 turnover, 3 steals, and 3 rebounds. He went 3 for 5 on threes and just 1 for 5 on twos. Did not attempt a free throw. Maryland is 7-6 overall, including 0-2 in the Big Ten. So the Terps went 7-4 in the non-conference portion of their 2025-2026 regular season. Of the 4 losses, a 70-60 home loss to Georgetown on November 7th, a 161 loss to then number 12 Gonzaga at MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas on November 25th in the 2025 Players Era Men's Championship, a 105-72 loss to then number 8 Alabama at MGM Grand Garden Arena in Vegas on Wednesday night / Thanksgiving morning, November 26th / 27th in that 2025 Players Era Men's Championship, and an 80-72 loss at then number 23 Virginia on December 20th. So 3 of the 4 losses were losses to ranked teams, including 2 blowout losses. The other loss was a 10-point home loss to Georgetown. This is not a great Maryland team, but, it's hard to truly judge it given all of the injuries the team already has had. And as mentioned, the Terps lately have been without their best player, Pharrell Payne. By the way, ODU's head coach is Mike Jones. He was named ODU head coach on March 1st, 2024. Mike Jones, he was the head coach at DeMatha Catholic High School in Hyattsville, Maryland for 19 seasons, 2002 to 2021. It was Mike Jones who replaced the legendary Morgan Wooten as DeMatha head coach. Jones then was associate head coach at Virginia Tech, May 2021 to April 2023, when he was hired by Maryland to be an assistant coach. Next up for Maryland, home to Oregon, Friday night at 7:30. Also, props to George Mason. The Mason Nation, it for this regular season, improved to 12-1 overall with an 83-79 win over Penn at Eagle Bank Arena in Fairfax, Virginia on Sunday evening. The victory gives the Patriots 12 non-conference victories in a regular season for just the second time in school history and for the first time since the 1983-1984 regular season. Hey, Cash App is the best way to make sure that your financial transactions are safe. You can stay one step ahead of scams and keep your money secure with Cash App. Cash App's 24/7 fraud monitoring helps detect and alert you for unusual card activity should someone gain access to your card so you can act fast if something seems off. You also can lock or unlock your Cash App card instantly right in the app for extra control and peace of mind. And if you're about to send money to someone for a deal that's too good to be true and Cash App flags the deal as a potential scam, Cash App will warn you before you send the money. Cash App is here for you, and for a limited time only, new Cash App customers can use Cash App's exclusive code to earn some additional cash for real. Just download Cash App, use the exclusive referral code SECURE10 in your profile, send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you'll get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partner or partners. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Promotions provided by Cash App, a Block Inc. brand. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures.
Marriott Bonvoy is the official hotel partner of US Soccer. Join Marriott Bonvoy today to get closer to the game with exclusive perks, unforgettable experiences, and benefits that go beyond the pitch. Spring Hill Suites, part of Marriott Bonvoy, offers complimentary hot breakfast and spacious all-suite accommodations, perfect for the whole team, with room for up to 6 guests. Make your next getaway a win. Learn more at springhillsuites.marriott.com.
A terrific ending to a terrific season for Virginia football. Number 19 Virginia concluded a 2025 season in which the Cavaliers went 11-3 overall with a 13-7 win over Missouri in the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl at Everbank Stadium in Jacksonville, Florida on Saturday night. UVA is the number 19 team in the FBS per the season's 6 college football playoff rankings, which came out on December 7th. No, UVA did not make the college football playoff. This thanks to the 27-20 overtime loss to Duke at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina in the ACC Championship game on December 6th. But UVA, with this win over Missouri in the Gator Bowl, knots the program's first ever season with at least 11 wins. And this for a Virginia team that by the preseason media poll was picked to finish 14th in the 17-team ACC. This was a tremendous season for the Wahoos. So UVA in this Gator Bowl win lost the first quarter 7-0, but then won the rest of the game 13-0. Now, Missouri for this game had more significant opt-outs than Virginia had, but among the UVA players who opted out of the game was the Cavs' RB1, North Carolina Central transfer Jamari Taylor. Also, the Cavs were without their WR1, Trell Harris, due to a knee injury, and the Cavs were without their best defensive player, linebacker Cam Robinson, due to a season-ending torn ACL. UVA won despite having a yards per play of just 3.9. UVA quarterback and North Texas transfer Chandler Morris was named Gator Bowl MVP MVP. He went 25 for 38 for 198 yards, no touchdowns, and no interceptions. He took one sack, which was for an 11-yard loss. He had 5 carries for 11 yards when you take out the sack that he took. And he had a really nice 41-yard punt. But as key as anything with Morris was him going 10 for 10 on third downs and quarterbacking a Cavs offense that went 13 for 23 on third downs. And UVA's defense was great. The Hoos held Missouri to just 7 points, just 260 total net yards of offense, just 4.73 yards per play, just 3 for 12 on third downs, and 0 for 3 on fourth downs. During the post-game press conference of UVA head coach Tony Elliott late night on Saturday night, had this exchange.
Yeah, Preston Boyle with thesaber.com. Tony, this program hasn't ended the season with a win since 2018. What kind of momentum does this give you all going into the offseason, which has already begun, really?
Yeah, it's a lot of momentum. And I told the guys, I said, man, there's a couple of things I've been waiting to tell y'all. And I said, I got some good news and some bad news for you. Good news is welcome to the 11-win club. Bad news is the season starts today. All right, so we're already starting to work on, and that's the reality, right, of where we're trying to evolve to as a program, is that it's always about what's next. It's always about the process, but I think this will give us, some momentum going into the offseason from a recruiting standpoint, and then also, hopefully from a retention standpoint, get guys that to want to come back, and then also maybe, shed some light nationally as to what we're building here in Charlottesville.
I wondered coming into this season whether Tony Elliott was on the hot seat. I mean, over his first 3 seasons as UVA head coach, went just 11-23 overall, including just 6-17 in the ACC. But he in this season number 4 as UVA head coach killed it. I mean, authored one of the greatest seasons in program history. Not bad. That's how you cool off a hot seat. And that'll do it for you and me for now. Keep the feedback coming. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. Tuesday's show, episode 1228. We'll have plenty for you on the Washington Commanders. Also on Tuesday's show, I'll talk Washington Capitals and Washington Wizards. The Caps are at the Florida Panthers Monday night at 7. The Wizards are home to the Phoenix Suns Monday night at 7. Have a great rest of your Monday, and I'll talk to you on Tuesday.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
Marriott Bonvoy is the official hotel partner of US Soccer. Join Marriott Bonvoy today to get closer to the game with exclusive perks, unforgettable experiences, and benefits that go beyond the pitch. Spring Hill Suites, part of Marriott Bonvoy, offers complimentary hot breakfast and spacious all-suite accommodations, perfect for the whole team, with room for up to 6 guests. Make your next getaway a win. Learn more at springhillsuites.marriott.com.